Times people get exposed on paternity court.
Because at the end of the day, you can't make the baby without the mother.
Right.
But the mother can always have had sex with more than one man, which is what you did.
Who cares? This is just getting ridiculous. If you all would have just stayed on Facebook instead of laying down in the bed with no protection, we wouldn't be here.
Mr. Adel took swinging from the park into his married life, and this has left the couple in paternity doubt about their baby girl. I know people are getting sort of nasty things, and their children are paying for their mistakes.
She broke the terms of the relationship.
We have certain rules. We're swingers. She went outside of the relationship, she cheated on me, and now she's trying to pin the baby on me.
What are the terms?
You don't go outside of the relationship and have sexual relations with anyone outside of the relationship unless the other one is present.
Yeah, these swingers have broken their own rules, as the wifey slept with some man without her husband's consent. But in Joan's defense, she did it out of spite. And guess what? The baby mama had no remorse over it.
A picture of Mr. Adel in the bed with somebody else, your bed?
Yes, Your Honor.
And that's why you cheated, because you saw that picture, so then you went out and did it.
Absolutely.
Now we know two wrongs never make a right.
Yes, and the drama is about to get messier, because Mr. Adel told the court how he got into a relationship with his wife and convinced her of swinging. The woman had no idea what she had gotten into getting married to the defendant. But the husband was a habitual swinger, so he persuaded the defendant to play along.
Why would you want to sleep with somebody else other than your loved one?
That's what I'm thinking.
It's exciting.
But I gave it a chance because I loved him.
So the first time you all have this threesome, what happened? I mean, I know what happens, I guess, but...
After this, Judge was told the uncomfortable tale of how Mr. Adel had created a whole ad to recruit another swinger. His first choice was to add a guy. After going through a couple of contenders, they landed a match. Nonetheless, Miss Jones wasn't into the idea. She was just playing along. So, right after the first run, the woman gave up.
It's exciting.
But I gave it a chance because I loved him.
If you love somebody, how do you bring yourself to want to see somebody else have sex with them? I've taken this way too far. I truly want to know, what is it?
The judge was as baffled as us, processing the thought process behind Mr. Adel for being so desperate. Well, he just wanted to spice things up. But then why come to paternity court when you called for such stepping out? It turned out that this was about Mr. Jones sleeping with her husband's friend.
I turned around and went out with one of his friends, had a couple drinks, and one thing led to the next. We used the condom, I remember, and when I told him there may not be a possibility, I was trying to get under his skin.
But you didn't mean it.
Clearly, Miss Jones was driven to this infidelity by her own husband, and now it was hard to figure out if he was mad about the cheating or just about the possibility of the baby girl not being his. On the contrary, we knew what jacked him up.
Karma is very interesting. And I find it to be so on point that you would have a baby
We
girl.
always tell each other, you know, this is God paying us back for
Yes.
what we've
Yes,
done.
it is. The only swinging you need to be doing is at the park with your baby.
Nonetheless, the stakes were high for the parents and the baby girl, as the alleged daddy wanted DNA to rule him as the father, while mommy was adamant about Mr. Adel being the father. However, if the results said otherwise, their marriage was over.
I distance myself. I don't want to build any more of a relationship if I'm not the father. You know, the real father needs to be in building a relationship.
You are the real.
Miss Jones even provided a conception calendar claiming her husband was the father, which was not convincing enough for her partner because he believed his trust was breached. So, DNA proof was the only solution for him.
One night with his friend, we had sex every night, unprotected. All the way into September, he thought I was pregnant.
The month of conception would be in August.
Yes.
That's when she was conceived. Mr. Adel, you are the father.
Told you.
Miss Grimes isn't sure why her boyfriend has dragged her to paternity court, even though there's no doubt that Mr. Davis is the father. But the alleged daddy believes otherwise, even though he stated his reason for asking the test.
She is a real good liar. She lies all the
Good
time about everything.
Specifically, what did you find?
I found her telling another man that it might have been his baby.
Okay, why is a woman ignoring the whole potential father from the picture? According to the defendant, Grimes was a compulsive liar who thinks that she gets away with anything. Believe it or not, baby mama had 2 more men believing that they were the father.
You were cheating because he was cheating too?
Yeah, I mean, I was cheated. I cheated one time.
Because he was cheating.
Yeah, to get back at him.
So when you saw these messages, Mr. Davis, what was your reaction?
I got mad at first. I wanted to confront her about it, and she basically just told me she was lying to them.
Oh, so she was lying to another man too? And why are you doing so? Well, because the defendant had broken up with her, so she didn't want to be alone. That's why her best bet was to lure other men with baby news.
He was telling one that it was his baby and telling the other one she didn't know who baby it was, so I assumed it could have been his too.
Ms. Grimes, what were you running around here doing?
My ex, he was nobody. I didn't mess with him or nothing. I just didn't want to be alone.
You're not gonna tell a man you hadn't slept with that
I didn't tell him he was the father.
Who?
The one that I hadn't slept with. I just told him I didn't know who was the father.
Man, this is just too much confusion. Let's just skip to the pregnancy part. Mr. Davis had been playing the daddy all along. He was there for the birth, but when the baby came out, it changed everything, as the boy looked nothing like him.
Do you sign the birth certificate?
No.
You don't?
No, I wasn't sure.
That's the right thing to do when you aren't sure.
I can't trust her word.
And so meanwhile, you've just had a baby, Miss Grimes.
Yes.
Father is saying now, I don't believe.
Yes.
Whatever happened to this ex?
This brought up the topic of the ex involved in the situation. The guy was inevitable and not going anywhere because he wasn't just the plaintiff's best friend, but also the baby daddy of her first son. And now, also the potential father of her second child.
I need you because I cheated on Anthony with you, and it's possible James is yours. I got pregnant with James around the same time we blanked.
It was possible. I didn't say he was his, though. Them weren't my words. James was yours, did not come out my mouth.
So, screenshots proved what game Miss Grimes was playing. Still, she decided to act coy, but the judge was not ready to buy it. That's why she decided to call in the other father, who was also firm in his faith in being the father. Well, can you blame the guy?
You don't know either, but
No,
you
I don't
believe
know.
he is your child.
I
You
mean-
have an older child together, am I correct?
Yes, we do.
You all have obviously kept an ongoing sexual relationship.
Yeah, something like that. Not for real, but something like that.
You either have sex or you don't. I don't know.
We do, but we don't. Me and Jelani got a friendship.
However, for baby mama, their dynamic was just nothing, as they were friends who messed with each other when they were single. Though this time, Grimes missed that she cheated on her boyfriend with her ex, and now there was a baby in question. The woman had no idea what she'd gotten herself into.
And he's single, then y'all mingle.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much how it happened.
When you got pregnant, you told Mr. Davis that it was his child.
Yes.
So, the gist of the situation was that the woman was with both men around the same time. And like most of the ladies who appear in paternity court, she had made her pick, and it was driving her testimony in front of Lake. When the judge confronted Miss Grimes about it, baby mama confessed that she wanted the defendant to be the baby daddy.
I want him to be yours. She even told me that, she would rather
So
for me to be
she's
the
told
father.
you she wants the child to be yours.
Yeah,
I didn't say that.
She told me that a couple times. It's just facts.
I didn't say that. I want the child to be yours.
To be honest,
You
I'm
don't
gonna
take
be
care of your first child. Why would I want that one to be yours?
Anyone can tell that playing games and trying to have it your way had gotten out of hand of the plaintiff. Even Judge Loring couldn't help but knock some sense into the young baby mama. And when Judge Schooling hits, Lakes rocks hard.
Sexual behaviors, relationships, they're on trial. That's really what it is. Because at the end of the day, you can't make a baby without a mother.
You can't make a baby without a man neither.
You can't make the baby without the mother.
Right.
But the mother can always have had sex with more than one man, which is what you did. Hence the phrase, mama's baby.
Daddy's maybe.
Yep.
The truth session made Miss Grimes realize that it was not about more babies, and both men in the courtroom had relevant reasons to ask for DNA tests. And we all know when affairs are out, the judge calls for the envelope.
The biological father is Mr. Davis.
So I wasn't lying.
Miss Hensley's constant cheating and bouncing between different men had strained her relationship to the extent of her fiancé disowning her daughter and refusing to marry her. And now, the only option to save the relationships is some hard DNA facts.
The relationship on the line because I love being with her, but it's making me have more doubts as time goes on because I keep finding more and more cases.
So it has eroded the trust.
Yes, Your Honor.
And you don't really have a foundation.
No, Your Honor.
Because at this point, you don't believe anything she said.
Miss Hensley's words have lost their credibility, and now her house was a resting place of stress and awkwardness, as even after canceling the wedding, the couple was living together, and the baby accepted that it was her fault.
Mr. Jenkins, how have you caught Miss Hensley cheating?
There arose one time when we were first together for 4 weeks. We worked at the same location, and I happened to text her, and she was going to come over and spend the night. Well, she ended up messaging me saying, "Hey, I'm staying late until 2 a.m. At midnight is when she was supposed to get off."
You heard the man. The woman was to come join him, but she stayed at work late. When the boyfriend went to check on her, Miss Hensley was preoccupied with the ex. This made Mr. Jenkins' trust rocky, and when he confronted the defendant, instead of telling the truth, she tried to lie her way out.
So he went through your phone and saw you had been texting him continuously.
That probably is true, but that we were talking as friends because,
You were speaking like you had never broken up.
well,
What did the messages say, Mr. Jenkins?
They were speaking about how I miss you and I love you and I wish I could be with you, but I'm busy right now.
That makes the plaintiff's claims of the baby mama entertaining multiple men at the same time true. After this, he told the court how Miss Hensley flirted with other men in front of him. And there was even a man whom she really wanted to be with, and the only hurdle was the alleged baby daddy. And guess what? He had screenshots for this too.
Miss Hensley, oh, he's so cute, but he knows about David with the tear eye. Was there a co-worker, Miss Hensley, that you were interested in?
Yes, and we were friends, but I made it clear to him that I had a boyfriend, and that's why I told him about that, because people were trying to get me to leave David because they saw the way that he treated me.
However, in the defendant's defense, she was acting such a way because her man didn't treat her right, and she never thought of leaving Mr. Jenkins for other guys despite his foul treatment. But the plaintiff was having a hard time believing it.
You don't believe that, Mr. Jenkins?
I don't believe it at all. They knew very well that they could see me, and they could see me watching them, and yet he would still come over there like clockwork every 2 hours for a break.
Clearly, there was no trust in this relationship anymore, so the judge skipped to the pregnancy part. Turns out baby mama hadn't been pregnant the whole 2 years they'd been together. But suddenly, when other men enter into the picture, bam, the woman gets pregnant. However, baby mama ruled all these assumptions being bogus.
Well, you had to have one
Well, my
after was
doctor said that
conceived.
she was pretty much a miracle baby, and I did have issues when I was pregnant with her. I wasn't supposed to get pregnant.
And that makes you emotional. I can see that. It means a lot to you that you got to have this baby.
None of the explanations coming from across the podium were convincing enough for Mr. Jenkins. The doubt part had affected his ability to both with 6 months old. He was purposely acting distant until he was sure the baby was his. The poor child was paying the price.
I don't call myself daddy in front of her. I want to be 100% sure because I don't want to raise a child that's not mine. I still care for her. I've been with her since she first was conceived.
But you admittedly are holding back.
Yes.
You really aren't giving this child the love and the care that she deserves because you have doubts.
Yes, Your Honor.
Even the judge was having a hard time comprehending the coldness. Doesn't every child deserve attention and care regardless of paternity doubts? Either be there or just move out of the picture. What's wrong with people today?
It's one thing to say I have doubts, so I'm not going to connect myself to the child and I'm just going to hold back. I see that a lot. It's another thing to get the result and hear for certain you are not a child's biological father. Have you prepared yourself?
Yes, Your Honor. I still plan fully to help Shania raise this child. I've just been holding back because I want to know if it's mine or not.
With all that said, we know Grim of Doubt doesn't go out that easy. It needs good DNA proof. And since there's more than one man who was supposedly involved in the paternity mix, let's see what those results hold.
In the case of Jenkins versus Hensley, when it comes to 6-month-old Asher Jenkins, it has been determined by this court, Mr. Jenkins, you are the father.
An Ohio man is denying his sweetheart because her peeps are whispering doubts into his mind. But Miss Mitchell brushed all of the claims brought forward by Mr. Robinson like this.
Did you have sex with somebody else?
I never had sex
right
with him,
after
but
he took it?
No, not at all.
So did you have sex with anyone
No,
else
I've never
during the
had-
window of conception?
No.
Who are these people telling him these stories?
I don't know.
then? Do
They
you know?
won't tell me, so I don't know.
So people just lying on
Yeah,
you.
it's him lying and her.
Oh, so you don't think he even ever got the messages?
No.
The pretty juicy situation was almost like a Real Housewives episode. Hooking up and denying it later, rumors coming up, paternity being denied. Too much drama. But wait, as there's yet another bomb that was yet to drop.
You have the baby. Is Mr. Robinson with you?
No, but his sister was.
You sent her.
Yes, I had got arrested the night of, I'm not gonna lie, I'll be 100% honest with you, Your Honor. So I said, Eric said, will you do me a favor? She said, what? I said, will you make sure you go to the hospital for me? She said, yes, I will.
And so she went.
Yeah,
And
when she
went.
came up, she said that she tried to get Ryan to come, but Heather wouldn't let him.
That's a lie, Your Honor.
Finally, a witness shed some light on what's going on between the duo. Or maybe not, as she was too much charged with her daughter being accused of sleeping around with men.
I have proof right here that he didn't get arrested until 2 days after the baby was born.
So if he was in jail.
Well, I'm glad you're here. Where's Ryan? And she said, well, I'm trying to get a hold of him. And then I said, did you get a hold of him? And she said, no, Heather won't let him come.
So Rylan was born on May 7th, and you, Mr. Robinson, you were arrested on May 9th.
All this nonsensical behavior had Judge Lake all worked up, because she wasn't enjoying this at all. She wasn't in for them, but for the child.
Who cares? This is just getting ridiculous. If you all would have just stayed on Facebook instead of laying down in the bed with no protection, we wouldn't be here. Now, you all want to talk about Facebook all day. And I want you all to understand that beautiful
Your Honor,
little girl is what matters.
So now, it was time for the defendant's witness to speak. We really hope she will do some good. And she did, as the girlfriend told the judge how mommy wasn't letting the alleged around the baby.
I've tried being civil with Hope. Like, she had messaged me on Facebook when me and Ryan was split up, telling me that she was sorry for the way that she was acting. And I told her, like, regardless, we need to get along. We need to be civil. Like, I have kids, whatever. And she, like, agreed to that. But then when it all came down to it, if me and Ryan was together, that he wasn't to be a part of Rylan's life.
However, it turns out that the baby was stuck in a grown-up drama, and mom was all for revenge, whereas the defendant was not ready to put up with her antics. And with another woman in the mix, Young's child was paying the price for others' mistakes.
Your Honor, all I want to know here today is that if this kid is mine.
Thank goodness somebody's finally talking about Rylan. She first and foremost has a right to know and to have in her life is her mother,
But also her.
and also her father. And if that is you, you've got to figure out how to make that happen.
All of this was clearly going nowhere, so the judge got to the point at hand. With 2 months of baby care expenditure, they reached for the DNA envelope, which showed this.
In the case of Mitchell v. Robinson, when it comes to 2-month-old Rylan Mitchell, Mr. Robinson, you are the father.